I will pay you $5 million if you read this document. Freddie's shoulders stiffened. His breath caught, not from excitement, but from recognition. He had heard adults make promises before, loud promises in rooms full of witnesses, promises that evaporated the moment they became inconvenient. He felt his grandmother's hand settle on his shoulder, warm and steady. Beatrice didn't squeeze. She didn't whisper reassurance. She simply stood there, her presence a quiet reminder. We don't beg. We don't perform. We witness. Freddie took a breath and stepped forward. My name is Freddie, he said. His voice was small but clear. I'm 8 years old. A few executives exchanged glances. Someone smiled, the kind of smile adults gave children who didn't yet understand how the world worked. Sebastian Alistair, the billionaire who'd made the offer, raised an eyebrow. He hadn't expected calm. He'd expected stammering or silence or a grandmother pulling her grandson back, apologizing for wasting everyone's time. You're very brave, Freddie, Sebastian said lightly. Now, about the document. Freddie looked at the thick stack of papers resting on the polished table. He didn't ask about the money again. He didn't ask about the competition. Sebastian had nodded. That was enough. If I read this, Freddie said carefully, I get the $5 million and I'm allowed to enter the English competition. Sebastian nodded once, amused. Yes, that's the deal. Freddie nodded back the way Beatrice had taught him. Agreements mattered, even when adults forgot that. He reached out and picked up the document. It was heavier than he expected. The pages were filled with unfamiliar formatting, archaic scripts, strange typography, sections that seemed designed to confuse rather than communicate. But to Freddie, confusion was just a puzzle waiting to be solved. He didn't hesitate. He didn't ask for time. He didn't ask for help. Freddie looked up briefly, then looked back down and began to read. Before we go any further, if you enjoy stories where dignity wins, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Because what Freddie reads next doesn't just shock the room. It changes who holds power in it. Sebastian leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. This was his favorite part, the moment before the collapse. Promises were toys to him, tools for entertainment. And humiliation, when done well, was an art form. Beside him, a board member whispered, "Does the kid even know what he's agreeing to?" Another chuckled softly. $5 million? He probably thinks that buys a bike. They spoke as if Freddie couldn't hear, as if he didn't matter enough to lower their voices. Beatrice stood motionless, her eyes moving slowly across the room. She'd spent years in courtrooms, welfare offices, hospital waiting rooms, places where powerful people decided fates with signatures and smiles. She knew how to read faces. Sebastian raised his voice, addressing the room. Let's consider this a harmless demonstration. Everyone, please witness. Freddie didn't react to the word demonstration. He simply looked down at the first page, his finger tracing the opening line, not frantically, but carefully, respectfully. Then he began. His voice was steady, clear, the pronunciation precise. Not memorized, understood. A murmur rippled through the room. Sebastian's smile tightened. Freddie moved through the first section effortlessly. Latin phrases rolled off his tongue like everyday conversation. The murmur grew louder. Then the document shifted. The typography changed, ornate, deliberately archaic. Punctuation appeared in patterns meant to confuse. Phrasing from centuries past. Freddie paused once, caught himself, then corrected smoothly. Apologies, ergo not ego. Like a professional editor. Not a child guessing. Several executives leaned forward. A woman near the window stopped smiling entirely. Beatrice watched her grandson, pride held carefully behind her expression. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coaching. This was discipline. Hours spent in libraries while other children played, questions asked until answers made sense. Sebastian's jaw tightened. He'd expected fumbling. Panic. Tears. Not this. Not calm. Freddie turned to the next page. The script was harder now, Greek letters mixed with mathematical symbols. The room began to go quiet. Not the polite quiet of waiting. The uncomfortable quiet of assumptions crumbling in real time. Freddie reached the Greek section. He read aloud. then added softly. Logos, the word that carries meaning, not just sound. Not showing off, just accurate. A chair scraped quietly. Whispers died mid-sentence. Near the back, someone lifted their phone, recording. The document grew more complex. Dense legal terminology mixed with philosophical fragments, formatting designed to disorient. Freddie treated it like homework. Methodical, unbothered. Sebastian's confidence drained visibly. His posture stiffened. He glanced at his legal aide, who looked equally unsettled. The power dynamic wasn't shifting. It had already flipped. Freddie reached the final section, the cruelest part, written in layered scripts and archaic phrasing. He paused once, not because he couldn't read it, because it deserved respect. Then he continued, voice steady, translating as he went. When he finished, he closed the document carefully. The sound was soft. Final. Done, he said simply. The silence that followed was deafening. No one clapped. People stared, not at Freddie, but at each other, at Sebastian, at the space where certainty used to be. Sebastian forced a thin smile. Well, that was unexpected. An older executive near the table spoke quietly. He didn't just read. He understood structure. Context. Sebastian's smile hardened. Children absorb things, especially when coached. The word hung in the air, ugly and deliberate. Beatrice stepped forward, voice calm. My grandson taught himself. I clean offices. I don't teach Latin. Sebastian looked at her, really looked, as if noticing her existence for the first time. Freddie spoke then, his voice small but firm. You made a promise. In front of everyone. Not begging. Not demanding. Just reminding. Sebastian glanced around the room. Phones were out now. Witnesses everywhere. Board members exchanging glances. He was cornered. And for the first time in years, he didn't know how to escape. Quick question. Be honest. If you were in that boardroom, would you speak up or stay silent? Drop your answer in the comments, because the next part is where the billionaire tries to rewrite his promise. Sebastian's legal aide leaned in, whispering urgently. Informal demonstration, not a binding contract. Sebastian seized the lifeline. The reading was impressive, truly. But let's be realistic. Competition entry, yes. The money, that was symbolic. Beatrice's voice cut through cleanly. You said $5 million. In front of witnesses. Public promise, public accountability. The room split visibly. Some executives shifted uncomfortably. Others moved closer to Sebastian, circling protectively. Freddie stayed silent. He didn't argue, didn't plead. He simply stood beside his grandmother, showing more dignity than most adults managed in a lifetime. A woman near the window, a major sponsor, cleared her throat. Mr. Alistair, my foundation underwrites this competition. If word spreads that promises made publicly are dismissed privately. She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Sebastian's face paled. The leverage had shifted, and everyone in the room knew it. By morning, the clip was everywhere. Someone had recorded the entire exchange. Freddie's calm reading, Sebastian's promise, the attempted backpedal. It spread like wildfire across social media. Sponsors called demanding explanations. Journalists flooded the competition committee with requests. Hashtags trended. Sebastian was furious, not at his own cruelty, but at losing control of the narrative. Beatrice's phone rang constantly. Emails poured in. Some offered support, legal help, solidarity. Others carried thinly veiled threats. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Through it all, Freddie sat at their small kitchen table doing homework. Reading, as if nothing had changed. Beatrice watched him, understanding finally settling over her. The reading had never been the real test. The test was whether truth could survive when it threatened power. 3 days later, a sleek black car pulled up outside their modest home. Beatrice looked out the window. Her jaw tightened. Sebastian Alistair had come himself. Sebastian stepped out of the car, his suit immaculate, his expression controlled. But his eyes betrayed him, tight, uncertain. Beatrice opened the door before he could knock. Mrs. Williams, he began smoothly. I'd like to offer a private solution. An NDA, immediate transfer of funds, private sponsorship. We can resolve this quietly. No, Beatrice said simply. Sebastian blinked. I'm trying to make this right. Then honor your public promise publicly. Freddie appeared beside his grandmother. No arrogance. No fear. Just quiet presence. Sebastian tried charm first. Freddie, you're clearly gifted. Let's not let this become complicated. When that failed, his tone hardened. You're making this difficult. Beatrice didn't flinch. You made a promise. In front of witnesses. On camera. The world is watching, Mr. Alistair. Sebastian's shoulders sagged slightly. He was trapped. Not by lawyers or contracts. By truth. Fine, he said quietly. Full terms. Publicly honored. The payment was confirmed within the week. Competition entry secured. Sponsorship formalized. There was no movie applause. No dramatic celebration. Just consequences quietly reshaping the world around them. Freddie returned to routine. Reading at the library. Doing homework at the kitchen table. Asking Beatrice questions about words he didn't yet know. When reporters asked for interviews, Beatrice politely declined. My grandson doesn't need to perform twice. She deposited the money carefully, spent it wisely, medicine, education, stability. But she made one thing clear. Money doesn't rewrite respect. It only proves someone finally kept their word. Sebastian Alistair's name never quite recovered. Not because of scandal, but because people remembered. They remembered a boy who read with dignity and a billionaire who tried to take it back. The story wasn't about generosity. It was about excellence exposing arrogance. And about a grandmother who taught her grandson that promises, especially public ones, matter. Would you have kept your word? Now tell me this. Should Freddie accept the spotlight and speak publicly, or stay private and let his results speak for him? Drop your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Another video drops tomorrow, same time.